Hello, wonderful people. Welcome back to AfriScope TV. Okay, so today this show is going to be very informative. At the same time, um, it's going to expand our mindset as a whole. Not only me, it's not going to come from me alone. About ourselves, about our African roots, and what it is or what it means to go back to our roots. Actually, I am not here to advocate or to kind of instill a belief in anybody out there that there is this agenda going on, like going back to your roots, and so you have to jump on the, on the wagon so that we all go back to the root. It's not. I'm not here, but we're gonna make it informative educative, so that at the end of the day, we know if it is actually right, or is it right to go back? Is it good enough to go back to our roots? And if we are going back to our roots, what are the things we should go back to or carry with us, and what for? What for? I mean, that's the main aim, right? The main question we should be asking ourselves is that if I want to go back to my roots, what am I going for? Yeah, so that's one of the questions that we should also be asking. But at the end of the day, welcome once again. If you are joining me, make sure you like the video. Give me a thumbs up, guys. Like the video, leave a comment below, and let me know if there is any issue, like any technical issue. Just remind me. The chat is open for all, so you are free to join and chime in into the show. Um, Without much ado, let me just give a quick intro about this whole topic, right? So, um, let me just start by saying the whole idea of Africans going back to their roots. Um, I actually got that idea or got to know about something called African roots actually from my families or our my cousins living outside of this continent of Africa. Cousins living in Europe, in the Americas. I mean, they actually see the value even in Africa than I as an African or as a young African. So basically, they actually informed me much about what it means, what African roots mean. And so, without much ado, I would definitely be talking much about their perspective of what it means, and whether that is what we should also be going up for. Because if at the end of the day, we live in this world where we don't really know what we are fighting for, it's like somebody is just saying, oh, we go back to our way, and all of us are just following blindly. At the end of the day, we will just be falling into a trench. So I will give us that broad view from the Pan American, let me not say Pan American, from that African American view of what African root means. And also, I mean, sorry to say, or to restrict it to African American, but because African American are actually the champions when it comes to aside the Afro Caribbeans, they are the champions when it comes to African roots as a whole. So without much ado, let me just give you that brief intro of what it means. Okay. So many Africans in the diaspora have a desire to reconnect with their ancestral heritage and identity, and some of them may have been separated from their roots by the transatlantic slave trade. And of course, we know our ancestors were, most of our ancestors were enslaved. If I open my DNA, cousins to you, you will see most of them are actually living outside of the continent, and they took this test to help them look into their genetic makeup, right? So at the end of the day, some of them who might have lost the African uh, connection through the transatlantic slave trade, or all of us have have, okay, at the end of the day. So, and also colonialism. Colonialism is also one of the uh, factors that happen to take away our African heritage from us or identity from us. And migration and adoption also are some of the other factors that uh, happen to affect us as a whole. That's why when we say we need to go back to our roots, um, our ancestral heritage or identity, we are trying to go back to what it might be if you are living in your own environment. That's that actually the fundamental um, meaning behind that. So going back to their roots can mean different things for different people, such as visiting or moving to their ancestral homeland. Some Africans may want to see the places where their ancestors were from, learn about the history and culture, or even settle down and contribute to the development of the continent of Africa. Um, Researching or tracing their genealogy, which I have also participated in. Um, some Africans may want to find out more about their family trees, their ethnic group, their DNA, or their surname. They may they may use various sources and methods, such as oral history, archives, online databases, or DNA testing. Um, Learning or practicing their ancestral language as well. So some Africans may want to speak the language of their ancestors or at least learn some words and phrases. They may use books, apps, online sources, or courses, um, or native speakers to help them learn. Adopting or reclaiming their ancestral culture. Some Africans may want to embrace their traditions, values, beliefs, arts, and customs of their ancestors. They may wear traditional clothing, celebrate festivals, practice spirituality, listen to music, or create art. Going back to their roots may be a rewarding experience, or for many Africans, it may help them discover more about themselves, their history, and their potential. It can also help them build bridges with other Africans and contribute to the unity and diversity of the continent. So, this is actually like a general view of what we would describe as a root. So, let's start with the controversial aspect. But before I start diving in, let me just say a big welcome to Andrew for being here, and also African Black Holocaust survivor. Thank you for being here. Yeah, happy Sunday to you as well. And if you are joining, I'm gonna leave the link right now immediately. Um, Let me just leave the link here because we need to keep the show running, right? Um, Let me pin it at the top. Oh, I don't know why it's so hard sometimes pinning. There's this icon popping out even though I don't want it. Yeah. So there are some few questions, right, that I have in mind here. Who needs to go back to their roots? Do we all need to go back? What is available at the root? Why does that appeal to the diaspora more? Is the root a perfect place? Are we going to take something with us or leave something behind? Do we need re-education about ourselves to know what's right for us? These are some of the questions that are actually on my mind. But I don't know about you. Um, I don't really know about you. Maybe you would want to um, you know, or bring a different set of questions. Oh, I please, if anyone else watching is having the right to, okay, let me see if I can pin it. No. If any one of you can pin this link, the StreamYard link, I will love it. Any moderators available? Okay, so let's start. So basically, um, I was actually influenced to make this topic because of the war in Israel and Palestine or in the Middle East. Um, you know very well that the fundamental concept behind the Jewish people relocating to that land is that they claim that they are going back to their ancestral homeland. And of course, when they left wherever they were in Europe and America, wherever they were in the world, according to my research, they call it the Zionist movement. And of course, even there are few black people, even on the continent and across the continent in Europe and America, who still believe that they are also part of this community of the Zionists, and they need to return to that physical place where they call the Israel today to reclaim their roots. Is that's their roots. And we know for a fact that when they left, the Jewish people left wherever they were, or the descendants of Jewish people left the West and they went back to Israel. We of course know when they set up this, they helped them build up this country called Israel. It was actually a powerful country, a country which was known for agricultural, the massive development, influencing agriculture and technology, and having a lot of scientists, right? And we know at the end of the day, they brought a development to that location. But without them, wouldn't there be development? I mean, these are controversial topic. I'm not here to talk about Israel, but just using it as an example that when they went back, even with their concept of Zion, going back to Zion, this is what happened. And so a lot of people, I joined in on some channel before, and they toxically brought up this topic, and they tarnish the whole idea of Africans, not actually Jewish people. This is about Africans going back to their roots. And they claim there is nothing at the root. The so-called root that they claim is Africa. Africa is poor. And they brought up all these, you know, bad reviews about Africa that somebody has, I mean, these watered down bad views of Africa or reviews about Africa that someone has passed down to them, that Africa is poor, they live in trees, they are dying of disease, it's hard there, and is that, of course, it's hard everywhere. Wherever you are in this world, there is always going to be poverty there, over riches and poverty. What will make a country or a place better is actually the balance. If we are able to control the this thing, control the population of rich and poor, and to a degree where it's no more invasive or destructive to the whole place or community. That is what we are, a good development is about, or sustainable development is about. So I have that concept. So to bring up this topic about what it means for Africans to go back to their roots, I was also thinking to myself, as an African now living on the continent, I don't want to speak about my personal life right now, but if you watch my previous videos, you will know who I am, right? I'm not like a secretive person that you don't know or you won't get to know. So if you really want to know me, you will definitely get to know me. So basically, I as a young African, I know what is happening in Africa. I talk about that. I don't hide anything about Africa. But I will never ever use my reality of the Africa I know or the Ghana I know to stop people from returning to learning about themselves, to connecting with their people or their distant families or their families here. I will never ever use my reality to actually stop people from getting here. So at the end of the day, what do I need to do? We need to learn. All of us need to learn. I know as a young African that we are all dealing with a lot of problems, unemployment, um, we have all been marginalized. We don't, when you're unemployed, you don't have money, and therefore you can't get access to your lifestyle is gonna be worse, right? But at the end of the day, does it mean that everybody on Africa or in Africa are living like me? No, and some people out here are living massively well. And when I look around me, I don't see poverty. I see riches. I see beautiful mountains, beautiful places, beautiful farms, beautiful people, and people who are hardworking. Regardless of the fact that there is no food bank, there is no um, government handout, but they are still living well. So at the end of the day, to understand that in a Western country or a developed country where there is a social services or welfare, somebody asking me, what am I going back for? It's a big question for me, and I cannot answer that question alone. That is why I actually set up this panel that we can talk about that. But even if, based on my research, even if nobody joined me, of course, I will be the mouthpiece and actually discuss with you a lot of the things that people draw my attention to. So, one of the things that as an African, judging from my point of view, as an African, right, I would say when they say roots, the first thing that comes to my mind is horrible. It's not a pleasant something, right? It's not a pleasant something. So we have a first guest here. I'm gonna add you, but please excuse me. Let me just land my first few sentences before you continue. Okay. Welcome in the welcome.
Continue what you had to say.
Okay, okay. So this is it. My view about Africa is might be a little bit distorted because at the end of the day, when they say go back, I'm seeing my ancestors who, at the end of the day, had to work hard to survive. They don't have all these technological developments. They had to walk on their foot for so many hours, traveling from places to places. Even a few of them that have the means of transportation, which is the horses and then the donkeys and whatever, and the camels, it's only a few. And back in those days, lifestyle wasn't that hard. Sorry, was very hard. So when you tell me go back to your roots, these are something that click in my mind. What am I going back to? So it takes a courageous person, somebody who will step out of that reality to see the bigger picture, to see why they need to go back to a root. So the issue that I had with myself not knowing what root means is the problem. That I don't know what root means. So without much ado, I will also welcome you. So let's discuss what actually this root means. Is it a place? Is it a place? Is it a state of being? Is it a culture we have to connect to? Is it some form of magic? Is it African spirituality? Is this some sort of unity or some sort? I just want to know at the end of the day. Welcome, shrimps and cheese.
You didn't read the whole entire thing.
Yeah. Last time someone was asking of you, somebody called me, on my WhatsApp and asked me about you. That have I been hearing of you? And I'm like, you don't really connect to people, so I don't hear of you. Yeah,
Well, because I have a life.
of course.
And plus we get busy in life. And then plus I have a family or I have kids.
Yeah.
So those are all my little connections and stuff like that. But I'm happy to be on this platform. Happy to see you still doing your thing. I haven't seen you do your thing for a long time. Where
Yeah.
have you been?
Oh, I'm also on my life journey. Trying to, pull certain things together to see how best they can work for me. And at the end of the day, I'm not. I will not say I'm successful, but I'm on the journey. I'm on my journey. You know.
That's good. I'm happy to hear that, that you are in
Yeah.
your journey. I mean, how long you been offline? I mean, 'cause it seems like you've been offline for a little bit.
For consistently, I would say getting to about 9 months. Yeah,
You've been
getting to
offline for
about
9
9 months.
months?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Wow, that's a long time. One
Yeah.
question, have you ever heard of, I mean, have you heard from African Millennial?
No, unfortunately, I haven't heard from her personally. I tried to reach out to her, and I don't think I connected with her. But later on, she showed up, and then yeah, she showed up online, and I went in there to leave a few comments.
Okay. Okay, because I know she don't do it online anymore, right?
I don't know. No, she does it. She does, but not as frequent as she used to.
Okay, okay, I got you. But going back to the topic, finding your roots. It really depends on how the way you defined it because everyone define it differently. You fortunately, you know where you come from. You know your ancestral roots. Whereas other people um, have to do it through a DNA test or whatnot. Um, for you, I guess finding your roots might be a little bit different from someone who live in the diaspora, where someone might tell you, okay, Afroscope, you need to find your roots. You need, they might, it might be something that's pretty much not necessarily physical, but symbolic, um, where you could symbolically reflect on what your ancestors done and apply it for today. I'll give you a perfect example of my daughter, one of my daughters. She did the ancestor test, and her mom is part Mexican and part Honduran, and she discovered in her roots, she's like 40% African, 40% Native American, and and everything else is pretty much broken down, or 45% Native American, and everything else is pretty much broken down. Uh, she knows that on her mom's side, that her mom's father.
Okay, so
Let me finish, please. Don't interrupt. She know on her mom's side that her mom's father is a Mayo speaker in northern Mexico. So when she did the ancestors test and she found out all this information, she pretty much knew that. She wind up, she want to learn more about that particular culture that's in her DNA and learn the language. In other words, in that way, she is kind of like finding her roots to get to know her people and her history. So it could mean different things for many different people. What I mean is finding your roots. Hello? Are you there?
hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, it must be that internet from Ghana.
Yes, but it's not that bad. It's just that I was opening a lot of pages. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the roots. So how do you define the roots yourself? Is it a place? Is it a state of
It
being?
could be symbolic. Um, it could be knowing your history, knowing where your people come from, and appreciating it as far as what they went through and what they fought for you. From me, I'm looking at if I look at it from an African American context, as far as what my forebears who before me did for me to make life better for me. That could be like symbolically remembering of that past and carrying the torch of the people before you to be better than before or to strive to be better than what they were since
Yeah.
they pretty much didn't have those like opportunities.
So is it only about the good? Because um we know for a fact nobody is perfect, and if it is history, the history is not perfect.
No, what I'm
One.
saying is what, like I said, we all know about the African American civil rights struggle and all that, right?
Mhm.
And then what I'm saying is they fought for you, for their children to have a better tomorrow. And I take that and reflect on that and being and strive for those people who fought for me to be better, to be better. In other words, I don't take for what they done and the sacrifices for me for granted.
Yeah.
I strive for that. Like for my daughter, it's totally different in that aspect of it. She knows that one of her grandfathers is a Mayo speaker in northern Mexico, so
Mhm.
she took it upon herself to learn that indigenous language. In that aspect, she is finding part of her roots of
Mm.
being a person or partially indigenous person in the Americas. This time, Mexico. So it means
Wow.
different things for different people.
Yeah. So over here, I was talking with a cousin of mine about this topic, and the first thing that came out of his mouth is that, oh, it's actually people, the diasporan Africans, that actually care about African roots. Do you want to, where do you want to go? you know, why? And I'm like, calm down, calm down.
Mhm.
But why do you say what you say? I would really want you to be on the show. But I mean, he got his own life, so basically he can be here. But so when he said, okay, it's actually people in the diaspora, I understood that so well. Do you know why? I've interacted with Africans in the diaspora. They are actually the ones that know the value of Africa even more than the original Africans. When I say diaspora, I'm not just limiting it to Africans that left the continent, to seek for greener patches. I'm talking about Africans who were even, uh, I mean, I would say descendants of enslaved Africans or our cousins in the Caribbean or whatever. They even understood so well what Africa mean, or they have this big regard for Africa than the original Africans like I over here. And sometimes it baffles me. It's something that I had to, sometimes I need to calm down a bit to, just to make things look more calmer, because in my mind, the Africa they're saying is not the Africa I'm living in. Imagine the concept is that we should all embrace, we should all love ourselves, and we should wear our natural hair, we should speak our traditional languages, we should work among ourselves. Um, First of all, we should trade among ourselves and not trade with others. We should um, we should what, go back to the ways of the past is better. The food in the past are better because they are more healthier, and a lot of things they say.
Hmm.
um of course they have a proof, they have a proof, but to me it's often like a question mark. There's a question mark there. So what at all is this root that keeps people active, like really wanted to connect to, really wanted to go back to? Is it all that perfect? Is it
I
perfect
mean, nothing
that
in life, in everything in life. I'll give you a perfect example. Like when the when the Europeans um, talked about the Renaissance, not necessarily they are descendant of these people. Okay, um, like again, not all Europeans are descendant of the Romans and Greeks. They're not. Most of them are not descendant of Romans and Greeks. Besides people who live in those areas. Having said that, when talking about the Renaissance, it's talking about the rebirth of the classics. What they did was take the good from those cultures and transform it into what they now consider like a Western concept. It's going back to, even though they're not descending of those people, of the past, and remaking it for a better tomorrow. And
okay?
interesting enough, the people who lived in the Greco-Roman period were not Christian, were not Muslim, they were pagans. They believed in many gods. But the concept of democracy, the concept of the republic, come from pagan people.
Yeah, yeah. So I think in order to really understand this concept, do you think there are things that we actually try as people who claim we are enlightened and we want to go back to our roots and reconnect and what have you? Do you think there are things that are part of this root that shouldn't be, you know?
Oh, that's far as shouldn't be, you could take the goods bits of traditional religion and make it your own, as far as, no type of witchcraft or whatnot, and remaking that religion for modern people. Um, you know, you could do that aspect of it. I mean, in every culture, like for example, in Greco-Roman culture, we're not going to the Colosseums and feeding people to the lions. Um, you know, we have laws against pedophilia because pedophilia was allowed in Greco-Roman culture. Nowadays, people do those things in secret and molesting kids. But in Greco-Roman culture, that was open about that. So we could, now it's against the law to do such things like that. Like I said, they took the bad parts out and they remade it their own for the modern world. And you could do that with any culture anywhere in the world.
Wow, you just drew my attention right now to one of the things fall apart. There was a portion that was read on BBC. I wish I can play that, but we'll be talking whilst I search on that on YouTube and to see if I can get that.
Yeah.
It's about the culture, you know, um, and a time when the people connected were with the European who were now taking over, and people had to pay them bribe in order to secure position over their own traditional council. And it's and how that form major part of, let me just say, corruption which wasn't part of the African traditional system. So you just drew my attention to the fact that there are certain practices that our people do uphold so firmly.
Yeah.
and
Like in
and
Benin, like a Benin culture, just like the picture. You see the picture I have, or the avatar I have. It's kind of funny in a way.
Mhm.
What is that avatar?
um let me see if I can. What's that? Is it, yeah, human sacrifice?
Yeah, that's the Aztec culture in the Americas.
Yeah,
That used to be practiced abundantly among those people, but due to the Spanish, it pretty much stopped. I mean, cultures aspects of that. We know that it does bodily harm to other people. We know not to practice those things because we know, morally it's pretty much wrong, and especially tying up people and against their will and all that type of stuff.
yeah,
Those stuff could be done. Those stupid things could be done away with.
yeah.
You know,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I could hear you.
So it's again, you know, there are a lot of things we can talk about as a Ghanaian. Let me just start from the fact that in the past, the corruption we see today, that form of corruption was not there, especially judging from the part that I came from, people who were very highly spiritual. Imagine you go to court. Before you go to a courtroom, the first thing they do to you is that you have to swear. They take you to the shrine, or the um as part of their court, there is also a shrine. They take you there, you swear, or they make you. There are some rites they pass you through. If you are actually there, they don't even have to waste their time, energy trying to judge. Imagine they take you there, they put some leaf on top of you. When the leaf fall, I mean, you are guilty, and you have to confess. If it doesn't, that means you are not guilty. Or, I mean, they have powers to, investigate what happened and tell exactly what people do. And imagine all of that, they have that power, so they don't have to waste time listening to lies and taking lawyers and people speaking on somebody's behalf and taking
Mhm.
a huge amount of money and making the right person good, uh, evil, and the good person right. That is not something that was common back then, because at the end of the day they had a system in place where, you dare not lie, you dare not commit the adultery, you dare not uh kill just like that. You just dare not kill. So that there are certain lands, when you kill somebody there, that means the land has been spoiled. So basically they have to cleanse the land, and cleansing the lands means a lot of sacrifice to appease the god. So at the end they had a law that also prohibited certain things that we see of today, like all the sexual perversions, um, all the the embezzlement of funds, like what we see today in Ghana, where even a woman embezzle a lot of funds and store them in rooms that the house helps and the whatever they were stealing, but she didn't know, because it's so much, it's so large
Mhm.
that she careless, and she got to know when maybe the husband complained, and now they were now, everybody's now exposed. So look at that. Back in those days, when they catch you, and you have to explain, and when you explain, whatever is confiscated is given back to the owner, and you have to work and pay for the rest. So you realize that there are actually things that are actually in the we left was left in the past that we actually needed so dearly. Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
want to chime in on this?
Yeah. I mean, I understand everything what you're saying. So for Canadians, because we can't say all of Africa, they're all of, Africa is pretty much a vast continent with so many different cultures, and people have different opinions about it. What is your culture in Ghana? I mean, what ethnicity do you belong to?
Hello, are you asking?
Yeah. What is your ethnicity in Ghana?
I come from about two in Ghana, two that I
Mm,
know of. I come from Ewe, I come from Krobo.
okay. Because I know it's different from Ashanti, and that's aspect of it. I mean, it's probably have
Yes.
a lot of similarities, but it's differences too. In other words, you're from a minority group, if I'm correct.
Um, Not really minority. It's hard to actually count as a whole,
Hmm.
but we are not the economically the dominant group. So when you say minority, it's in terms of economically, we don't have the state, so we don't control the government, we don't control the state of of affairs in the countries. That is why you might definitely state
Yeah,
that.
because the Ashantis are the majority, correct?
It is claimed, but it is claimed, but I think it's highly debated. The Yeah, I think it's uh, I'm no, I wouldn't agree that Ashanti, but I can't even tell who is the one because I know for a fact the Ashantis. No, even if you say Ashantis, we are kind of bringing it down. Let's just say Akan as a whole. Um, they have the power. They control the states.
Mm,
The financially and whatever. So at the end of the day, when they say they are the dominant, we know that population also constitutes dominance, right? So that's it.
okay, right. I mean, I understand what you're saying in regards to you was talking about how the system is now in comparison as before, and you feel it was a whole lot better. You're spending money on attorneys and stuff like that, um, to prove your case in the code of law. Mm, and I see what you was talking about in a traditional way with the leaves and all that type of stuff. Um, it's
Yeah,
interesting how the way different systems are.
it is. And do you
But
know
do
how
you?
it's even more? Um, it's even more fascinating to even know that like people die instantly for lying,
Right.
and not sometimes in some of the brutal voodoo cultures, they are not only the ones dying, their household is also dying. People will be dying because they lie bitterly. Imagine they've done something great, grievous. I
Hmm.
don't know whether I'm using the right language.
Well, no,
They
that's
did
right.
something.
Yeah, I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying.
So a curse has just find its way into the home, killing people because they
Right.
lie.
That we can't apply that for the modern world. That's just we can't.
But it could have put things into better perspective, making the world a better place.
I don't know about lying and stuff like that. It's kind of
Not
like
as particularly lying, but imagine uh somebody stole, somebody
mhm,
killed people and stole their properties from them. You know,
right. I mean, they
it's
do have countries
those
where
are the
have laws like that. I mean, you have Singapore, which is they have some laws similar to that. What you're saying, but without the magic. See, you have to do things without the magic because we cannot organize a country by superstitions. We can't. We can't. It just don't. It just doesn't work anymore. But you can have laws like that about lying, or someone caught in a lie, or stealing. I mean, and still deal with harsh measures. Hey, what's up, American? America's first rifleman. It really depends on your perspective. That's not we can't have laws when it comes down to voodoo and it, I mean you could have voodoo as a religion. American rifleman. I'm gonna get ready to get off. It's time for you to come up. I gotta do some real estate stuff. All right, Afroscope. I'll talk to you later. I have to get ready to get going. I have to get to work. Just came here to say hello, give you a little shout out. But keep on doing your thing. Be more consistent. That's how you're able to get more subscribers. Being consistent. But anyway, take care.
Hello guys. Sorry for the bad internet connection. Um, yeah. If you could come back, um, yeah. So as we were discussing about some of the traditions that we had, Africans had in the past, or we as Africans had in the past, it was not all perfect. Because if it were all perfect, people wouldn't have engaged in slavery or watched their own brothers being taken out of this continent, brothers and sisters being taken, and some of the things would I'm talking about couldn't be used to resolve some of these issues. But at the end of the day, the magnitude of resolution of this issue using spirituality, I can't tell. I can tell whether they've actually used African spirituality to help in these situations, but it was not to full capacity. It couldn't achieve like an absolute result. But at the end of the day, I also know that the root is more deeper and it's more fascinating to know. Welcome, Jay. Hello, can you hear me, Jay? Yeah. So, talking about roots once again, if you can hear me, just let me know so that I can allow you to talk. Um, so I have this video from this is from if you can see the screen. Um, I really want to play this. I don't know whether um, I can't tell if this internet will allow me to play this, but I'm going to play it. It will give you an idea about the past. This is a novel from Chinua Achebe, Things Fall Apart, and it's capturing people differentiating or Africans differentiating their traditional African culture from an European culture at a point where colonialism was at its brink, not at its brink, at its beginning or earlier stages. So let me just pause and then play this video.
It is already too late, said Oberika sadly. Our own men and our sons have joined the ranks of the stranger. They have joined his religion, and they help to uphold his government. If we should try to drive out the white men in Umwofia, we should find it easy. There are only two of them. But what of our own people who are following their way and have been given power? They would go to Umuru and bring the soldiers, and we would be like Abame. He paused for a long time and then said, of them. But what of our own people who are following their way and have been given power? They would go to Umuru and bring the soldiers, and we.
I have paused here because I wanted us to understand this. They said back in the days, according to this novel, there were only two white men in what in that village they are calling Umuru or whatever. And it will be easy to drive them away. But what about their own people who are now more like white people, who wanna act like white, who wanna behave like white, who love everything white? What are they gonna do with them? Immediately they try to get rid of them, then they have to get rid of their own people too, because at the end of the day they'll go to another village to get soldiers to come and fight their own people. Yeah. Hello Jay, can you hear me now? You can unmute yourself. Yeah, can you hear
Yes,
me?
I
Yeah,
can hear you.
yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Good
Do you
evening.
want to, yeah, good evening. Do you want to, start with an intro for us about this topic? What comes to your mind first when you hear this topic?
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello, hello, are you there? I think Jay is having some network issues, but when you finally hear me, I mean, you can start talking. You know, let me see. Jay is having some network issues. Okay, you can still call back in. So basically, this is one of the extracts. It's a very wonderful book. You can go and look up the book, Things Fall Apart. Very good novel. It gives you what our people were also dealing with when they encountered the whites or the Europeans, and how their own people also need to be I mean, they have become a problem. You are not now you are not dealing with only white or foreigners. You are not also dealing with your own people who has also become foreigners because they've adopted the ways of foreigners. So we are still on the same topic, going back to your roots. This is just making us compare the roots versus what is not roots, right?
We would be like Abame. He paused for a long time and then said, I told you on my last visit to Mbanta how they hanged Aneto. What has happened to that piece of land in dispute?
Okay, welcome back again. Hello, Jay. Can you hear me? Oh, my Ghanaian internet. Sorry, Jay. When you are ready, you can chime in. So, basically, this part of the story is capturing a time where a judgment was made wrongly, and it was obvious that the locals were able to differentiate between their African form of judgment and the foreign form of judgment. So let's listen carefully.
Asked Okonkwo. The white man's court has decided that it should belong to Nama's family, who had given much money to the white man's messengers and interpreter. Does the white man understand our custom about land?
Now, can you hear this? Or let me go back and play a little bit of it again because this is interesting. I found it really interesting and insightful.
To the white man's messengers and interpreter. Does has decided that it should belong to Nama's family, who had given. What has happened to that piece of land in dispute? Asked Okonkwo. The white man's court has decided that it should belong to Nama's family, who had given much money to the white man's messengers and interpreter. Does the white man understand our custom about land?
So now you're asking a question: does the white man understand our culture, our custom about lands? So basically, there was a land in dispute, but one of the people went and paid white people who were the colonial masters back then money so that they could resolve their dispute, the land dispute. And of course, because they pay their guards and then the white people, they make sure that they win. They use that money to bribe their way into winning the case. Yeah, they use that to win the case. So at the end of the day, these are some of the differentiation. People using bribe wasn't part of our culture. We don't use money to go to court back in those days. But over here, you have to use money nowadays with the system. So the man is asking, does the white man knows about our the customs, our land customs? Like they don't know our laws. No. So let's continue this.
How can he, when he does not even speak our tongue? But he says that our customs are bad, and our own brothers who have taken up his religion also say that our customs are bad.
Do you understand this part? How can the white man classify African culture as being bad when they don't even know their culture? They don't know the essence. They don't know the anything. But why would their brothers be basically the agents who have become agents of colonial powers now also say that their religion is bad, their culture is also bad? This is a rhetorical question that was being posed. And it is clear that this is where the moral dilemma is. I'm a continue.
How do you think we can fight when our own brothers have turned against us? The white man is very clever.
Yes. So this is a lot of people normally ask the question, why do they need to come back to the continent when the same people are also like the white people? I mean, Africans on the continent act more white. They behave more white than you think. You say, I'm going back to them, and they. So I'm not over. I'm not. Please do not take this word. I'm over. At this point, I'm overgeneralizing. I'm making it look bigger. But they know that the rulers of this continent, or the rulers in this continent called Africa, most of them are brainwashed. Most of them are more white in their approach to life. So they are like agents of colonial powers. So how can we fight for liberation when the people who are heading you or leading you are like that, are the same like the Western powers you are fighting to liberate yourself from? So this is something about the roots we're talking about. So at that very moment, we are differentiating something. We are understanding that the reason our people weren't able to liberate themselves was because some of the other people have also joined in to become white people. They are black, they have black skin, but they are white. And he's stating the white man is very intelligent for making black people think that they are like them. Do you understand?
He came peaceably and quietly with his religion. We were amused. He came peaceably and quietly with his religion. We were amused at his foolishness and allowed.
Yeah. Now we can understand this side that they said they came peacefully with their religion, and they thought it's foolishness. The religion is foolishness because basically, think about African religion where you could see what they are saying. You could actually experience what they are saying when they say forces or spirit. You can really experience this forces at work, physically or whatever. A white man, you don't actually experience nothing. So they call it, actually back then they refer to their religion as foolishness. But listen to what the man is gonna add to that.
Him to stay. Now he has won our brothers, and our clan can no longer act like one.
So you can listen, you can hear clearly now. He has won our black brothers, so our clan cannot act as one. So they have now deviated from their old ways, their old traditions, their ways of living, because they've won their own people over. Does it mean you have to fight your own people too? So this is the problem.
He has put a knife on the things that held us together, and our clan can no longer act like one. He has put a knife on the things that held us together, and we have fallen apart. It is already too late.
Guys who want to join, if you're listening in, please make sure you like the video. Leave a comment. If you have any question, leave a comment. I know a lot of people tend to be shy and they don't like to join streams. Sorry, Jay. I know you've been having some internet challenges back there. But don't worry, next time we will definitely make it. Or when you resolve it, you can also always call in. Um, Guys, to be able to have this and do this. I know the internet's a bit crappy somehow, but at least you can hear me out, and we can even play a video. I just want to say a big thank you to Mr. Andrew for always remembering us. I mean, he was without him, we wouldn't even put up the show. So, guys, if you want to support this show, make sure you can send your support. The cash app is this. This is the cash app dollar tag Afriscope GH. That's how you support this show. Don't worry of the name behind it to definitely get to me. And I need the PayPal me to is to paypal.me/Afriscope TV. I think that's the uh, Afriscope TV, paypal.me/Afriscope TV. Or look in the comment section and sorry, the scrolling banner. In the scrolling banner, you can see the link to support the show, or even beneath the video, in the description on YouTube, you can see how to support the show, right? So, once again, we are still on this topic. What does it mean for Africans to go back to their root? And we've listened carefully. And once again, I'm gonna play the video once again before I turn it off. Um, what actually happened, during those days, so that we can differentiate what the African roots really meant and how they weren't able to even go back ever since colonialism. And what are the things we, as people who want to go back or who think that are things in the past we need to uphold or go back and take, that we need to work on. I will start with the video.
Said Oberika sadly. Our own men and our sons have joined the ranks of the stranger. They have joined his religion and they help to uphold his government. If we should try to drive out the white men in Umuofia, we should find it easy. There are only two of them. But what of our own people who are following their way and have been given power? They would go to Umuru and bring the soldiers, and we would be like Abame. He paused for a long time and then said, I told you on my last visit to Mbanta how they hanged Aneto. What has happened to that piece of land in dispute? Asked Okonkwo. The white man's court has decided that it should belong to Nama's family, who had given much money to the white man's messengers and interpreter. Does the white man understand our custom about land? How can he, when he does not even speak our tongue? But he says that our customs are bad, and our own brothers who have taken up his religion also say that our customs are bad. How do you think we can fight when our own brothers have turned against us? The white man is very clever. He came peaceably and quietly with his religion. We were amused at his foolishness and allowed him to stay. Now he has won our brothers, and our clan can no longer act like one. He has put a knife on the things that held us together, and we have fallen apart. It is already too late.
Listen to that video, guys. You can call in now. So you've listened carefully. So the roots. I have a lot of questions, right? But I don't think we can address all of those questions right now. So what do we need to go back to? Do we need to pick an aspect of our African tradition, or do you think we should embrace all? Do you think that there are some ways in the past that are very essential? I think in our next live show, I will do a big digging into, or we will delve down into that topic. We will delve down to what we actually need from our roots, because we cannot just go into root. We cannot just go there. We need something there, right? I know people believe, and they actually prove to us that when they come to Africa, it's their root. They actually can return to their roots, and they do benefit from benefit better than when they are from their previous homes or places. So at the end of the day, if Africa is a root for Africans, what is in this root that will benefit us as people? What is here? Is it the resources on the land, the gold, the diamond, the trees, the whatever, the fertile soil? What is here that we need? And I also have another question here. What is available at the root? What is available? Uh, and when I say what is available, know that in Africa we also have a lot of challenges. There are challenges, but there are also opportunities. Do you know we have poor governance systems? We still have, as the Chinua Achebe has described in that story, things fall apart. That their brothers have turned up against them. Yes, we have agents of colonial power still at play. They care less about their own people. They are working day and night and producing reports about their own people to an agent, to a foreign powers that still control and have it full, even at the home or the roots we're talking about. So if this is what is at the root, are we also ready to join in on the battle to liberate ourselves from these agents who might actually be our own people? Because this is the dilemma that Chinua Achebe has characterized in that book, Things Fall Apart, that their brothers have also turned up against them. If you try to get rid of them, they'll go for their other soldiers to come and join them. Now, another question is, why does that appeal to the diaspora more? Like, why does the diaspora love Africa more than the Africans? The Africans born here. Now, they say, I'll answer that, but not in total. I know somebody out there might have the answer better, but they say you don't know what you have until you lose it. If you know what you have and you know how pricey it is, you protect it. A lot of us Africans here are totally blind to what we have. It's because we have been brainwashed through colonialism, through the colonial education system, to see ourselves as lacking, as not better off. And so at the end of the day, we are also fighting ourselves inside. We cannot see the resources around us. We cannot see how somebody, your next brother or your brother beside you, can be of help to you. You are seeing your brother as also a problem, just as you are seeing yourself as a problem. So at the end of the day, you do see somebody who is outside of who is not near you as actually being a better off person to work with than your own people near you. So this is it. This is the dilemma here, the confusion at play. We as Africans don't know let me just say, majority of us don't know the value of Africa. We don't know. We were taught, at least, some of us were taught to hate ourselves, to hate what we have. We were taught that what somebody else have is better off. That is a disease that is continue to ravage, to eat the best of us. So whilst we sit back here and the other people who were born outside of the continent, our other brothers and sisters that were born outside the continent, saw the value here and they are getting back. Some of us are still wondering, what are they getting here for? We know we are here, we want to leave to where they are from because we don't know. We don't know better. Of course, economy has played a part where the best of us were actually educated to travel out of the continent. It's like they actually created a template here, an education system where they educate and they select the best people without them being here to mobilize them. They leave. So the rest of them will be like, oh, if this person will leave to them and they get all this accomplishment, they get to enjoy all these resources, they come back home and do all these big things, then all of us will go. Then this is what it is. But at the end of the day, they are always here taking. And what they are taking is more than the treatment that they are giving to our fellow brothers and sisters that are traveling back to them. So you see, there is a problem here that we Africans don't know what we have. And it is high time for diasporan Africans to show us, to open our eyes. When you come, make sure you let us know the value of our culture so that we can be awakened. Because a lot of us go to classrooms and they tell us that our hair is bad. Our hair is not nice, it's not kept well. We were told even the same colonial education that was passed down from generations ago is still at play, where they actually enforce laws telling people to cut down their hair because it's unkept, it's not nice, just because it's natural African Afro hair. So do you see? That's a problem. If this is a route, then nobody will go back to. But if it's a route of self determination, it's a route where we value ourselves, we like our features, we don't have to go under the knife to have a nose looking like a pin. That we don't have to go and have and take pills and potions and lotions to appear with a different complexion. If it is about that, then we are actually going to the right route, right? But I'm afraid to say, if we will still go to the route and still do all of these things, then that's not the route. we have we have not reached the route yet. Yeah, if the route is about us going back and acting the same way as we are acting now, where we hurt ourselves, we look down on ourselves, we hate our own features, we don't put a price tag on our environment and our future generation, we do not invest into the future generation, we do not value what we have, then that's not the right route we are coming back to. Yes. To continue this, let me just bring another question, right? The root, is the root a perfect place? It is not. The root is not a perfect place. There is always going to be bad, there is always going to be good. There are aspects of our future, our past, that are painful. There were aspects of the past that are painful. Nobody want to go back to that. No. Nobody want to go back to that. That painful past. Nobody want to go back. That painful part where people hurt each other, where people steal from each other, where people do not see, or Africans do not see each other as one and can easily be intruded by another different person that they don't know, that don't even look like them, and then turn around and create conflicts between them. You know, if that's the past, then it's not right. If it's a past of a human sacrifice and all the atrocities, then it's not right. It's not. So basically, there are also aspects of our past that is not right. So we should keep that in mind. If you are going back to your roots, not all aspects of your root is good. So the next question is, are we going to take something with us What are we taking with us? Or what are we leaving behind? Wherever you are, you've learned something. You have something in you that is not available as your roots. Would you say because you are going to your roots, you're going to leave everything behind? No. You need to take the valuables that you have. It might help you on the way. It will help you at your roots. The good behavior, the good characters, the hardworking self, all of that, bring it. Do not leave that behind and say, "Oh, I'm going back to my roots, so I don't need that. I don't need to work hard. I don't need to do anything." Hey, no, it's not. No, 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 no. The root doesn't need that. The root needs the best of you. The root needs the best from you. So when you're coming back to your roots, make sure you bring the best. Carry with you the best along, the best abilities. And the last question, do we need re-education? Of course, we need re-education. We need to educate ourselves about our roots. We need to know it to the point that we know which aspect of our roots to imbibe into our present. Else, we are going to just take everything and create a mess around. That is it. We need to pick the best and leave the mess behind. That is what is called the roots. Now, I know, as I said before, to you, going to your roots means doing your research about your genealogy. Does it end there? Don't you want to know people that you share DNA with, people who you share common ancestors with in the past? Go more. I think you can go more. You can learn something about yourself that you can pass down to your next generation and tell them, hey, we are from families though. We are from people over there. They are still living. Their descendants are still living. Our cousins are still living. Go more. Learn more about yourself. Learn about your language. Learn about what works for your people. Because what works for your people will definitely work for you too. Their clothes, their food, their music, okay? Their strength of unity, their cultural diversity, wonderful cultural diversity might benefit you too. So go for that. Do not leave that behind. So, once again, going back to the root, there are things you and I need to do, and we need to re educate ourselves. Else, we will go to the root and we'll forget that we are at the root because we are going to take in everything and create a mess. There are things that are not needed from where you are. And similarly, there are things that are part of our history that are not right. We can't go for that. Let's leave them out and take things that will work for us and work to the future, to the betterment of Africa and Africans across the world. If you are someone out there, you believe that you don't really need to travel to Africa to be at your roots, but you need to learn about your people. You need to connect with your people. You need to learn something. You need to love the food. You need to love the music. You need to love whatever they engage in. Good for you. Go for the right type of culture. Go for the right type of culture. The culture that will not create mess, that will not create problems. Go for that. Without much ado, I've spent almost about 1 hour 25 minutes here, and I think it is high time to wrap up the show. Once again, our roots is deep. but it's not deep part to the level that we cannot go to. We can always go, and we can always find something wonderful at our roots. It's not all bad and it's not all good. Many Africans in the diaspora have a desire to reconnect with their ancestral heritage and identity, and some of them may have been separated from their roots due to the transatlantic trade, colonialism, migration, or adoption. Going back to their roots can mean different things for different people, such as visiting or moving to their ancestral homes. Some Africans may want to see the places where their ancestors came from, learn about the history and culture, or even settle down and contribute to the development of the continent. Researching or tracing their genealogy, some Africans may want to find out more about family trees, their ethnic group, their DNA, or their surname. They may use various sorts of information and methods such as oral history, archive, online databases, or DNA testing, learning or practicing their ancestral language. Some Africans may want to speak the language of their ancestors or at least learn some words and phrases. They may use books, apps, online courses, or native speakers to help them learn. Adopting or reclaiming their ancestral culture. Some Africans may want to embrace the tradition, values, belief, art, and customs of their ancestors. They may wear traditional clothing, celebrate festivals, practice spirituality, or listen to music or create art. Go back to their roots can be a rewarding Going back to their root can be a rewarding and enriching experience for many Africans. It can help them discover more about themselves, their history, and their potential. It can also help them build bridges with other Africans and contribute to the unity and diversity of the continent. Of course, all of this is also part of the rule. If you are here I mean, those of you that will be coming back to watch this video, make sure you like it, subscribe, share, so that we spread the good word of unity, of love, of correcting the wrongs of the past. Once again, thank you all for being here. Those of you who showed up, um, just call me Brian, Colin, um, Jay was here, Miss Andrew, um, America's first rifleman, Chuku Igwe, all of that. All of you, please, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting me. You can also do better if you want to support me to donation. The cash app is Dalatak Afriscope GH. That's it. If you you can send your donations to that. You can also look below the description or look in the description section on YouTube to find info about how to support the channel. Once again, I love you all. Stay safe and stay blessed. Bye bye.